Sonic movies have become one of Paramount's most profitable franchises, a true goldmine for the studio. What started as a video game adaptation has now grown into a full-fledged cinematic universe, firmly planted in pop culture and showing no signs of slowing down. The classic Sonic games have always enjoyed massive popularity, and that nostalgia-fueled love is exactly what laid the foundation for the movie series. The first Sonic the Hedgehog film dropped in 2020 and was a surprise hit, quickly spawning sequels and turning into a proper trilogy, and it's clear Paramount has much bigger plans for the Blue Blur. The studio has officially announced a fourth film, scheduled to hit theaters on December 23rd, 2027. Jeff Fowler is once again returning to direct. He's been the creative force behind this universe from the very beginning, having directed all three previous films. In interviews, he's been open about his passion for the franchise, saying he's ready to keep making Sonic movies as long as fans want them. According to him, the team still has tons of ideas left to explore, and that makes perfect sense. The Sonic video game canon is massive, packed with characters, worlds, and concepts that go far beyond what we've seen so far in the films. There's more than enough material here to build out an entire movie saga, not just a limited series of 4 films. The creative possibilities are endless. New heroes, deeper lore, bold genre shifts, and everything points to the studio going full throttle on expanding the universe. As for the 4th installment, we already have a few confirmed details. The story will shift its focus to Amy Rose and Metal Sonic, both of whom were teased in the post-credits scene of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. This time, the plot is heading into a direction fans have been waiting for, the introduction of time travel. And in that context, it's impossible not to bring up Sonic CD, the legendary game where Dr. Eggman was on the hunt for the powerful time stones, which gave control over the space-time continuum. Recently, an official piece of concept art surfaced that gives us even more clues. It shows Eggman in a totally new look, something between a dictator and an emperor, standing against a backdrop of architecture clearly inspired by ancient Aztec and Mayan civilizations. Right beside him is Metal Sonic, not just as a sidekick, but suited up like a full-on military general. The whole vibe feels like a peek into an alternate timeline, maybe even a distant future. Interestingly, this concept art was originally created for the 3rd movie, but didn't make the final cut. Now it looks like that idea could evolve into a major storyline in Sonic 4, hinting at a large-scale conflict where Sonic faces off against a very different version of Eggman, one from a parallel reality. If we follow the current trajectory of the franchise, it seems likely that Sonic 4 will fully embrace the multiverse and time-jumping themes, concepts that are incredibly popular in today's entertainment landscape. Just like in Sonic CD, we'll probably see the characters traveling between the past and future, with new artifacts or technology playing a role in ripping open the fabric of time itself. It's still unclear whether the story in Sonic 4 will tie directly into the iconic golden rings or the time stones. Both elements have deep roots in the lore, but the filmmakers are keeping that part under wraps for now. One major development that has fans buzzing though is the possible return of Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman. After Sonic 2, Carrey publicly hinted that he was considering retirement or at least a long break from acting. But despite that, he came back for the 3rd movie, and not just in one role. He pulled double duty, playing both Dr. Eggman and Gerald Robotnik, Eggman's grandfather from the games. That move opened the door for some big multiverse or time travel storytelling, and now it's very possible that we'll see Carrey take on yet another version of his character, one from a different timeline or alternate reality. If that happens, don't expect the same Eggman we've already seen. This new version would likely come with a whole new look, fresh makeup, an altered costume, and completely different mannerisms, a radical reimagining of the villain we thought we knew. Now let's talk about one of the most intriguing fan theories that's been gaining traction online, the mystery of Emperor Eggman. The concept art showing Eggman in an Imperial costume sparked tons of speculation, and one of the most compelling theories? What if that isn't actually Eggman at all, but Neo Metal Sonic in disguise? In the game canon, Neo Metal Sonic is a heavily upgraded version of Metal Sonic first introduced in Sonic Heroes. He's not just a more powerful robot, he's a full-fledged villain with advanced intelligence, the ability to mimic other characters' abilities, and even shapeshift into Eggman himself to manipulate others. He's cold, calculated, and obsessed with becoming the ultimate life form. So if he's the one actually posing as the so-called Emperor, that would flip the entire narrative on its head. Imagine thinking the whole time that Sonic is battling a future version of Eggman, only to find out in the final act that the real mastermind has been Neo Metal Sonic the entire time, plotting to seize control of every timeline and every reality. That kind of twist would be huge, and it fits perfectly with the tone and direction of this expanding cinematic universe. With multiverses, alternate futures, and evolving villains, Sonic 4 might just be the most ambitious entry in the franchise yet. One thing fans should keep in mind is that no matter how wild or epic the concepts get, the Sonic franchise probably won't go full-on mind-blowing or dark. Don't expect shocking character deaths, canon-breaking twists, or massive cliffhangers. At the end of the day, this is still a franchise aimed primarily at a younger audience. The tone is light, fun, and family-friendly, and that's exactly what makes it work. It's popcorn entertainment, and Paramount has absolutely no reason to mess with the formula, especially when it's been making them a fortune. The Sonic trilogy has already become one of the highest-grossing video game-based film series in history, and the studio is clearly planning to keep riding that wave. As for Sonic 4, there's no official word yet on the production budget, but looking at how the previous movies were scheduled, it's safe to assume that filming will likely begin sometime in early 2026. Paramount has enough time to get all their ducks in a row. That said, delays are basically part of the blockbuster process these days, especially with how complex VFX-heavy productions can get, so don't be surprised if the release date shifts a bit down the line. What we can say with confidence is that Ben Schwartz will be back as the voice of Sonic. That's pretty much locked in. The rest of the main voice cast is expected to return as well. Idris Elba will once again voice Knuckles, and Colleen O'Shaughnessy is sticking with Tails, so the core team is staying intact, and that's a big win for continuity. The script for Sonic 4 is already in development, and based on leaks and recent interviews, it seems like the world building, character designs, and major set pieces are already mapped out. If you think back to how things went with Sonic 3, there were early rumors that it would be inspired by Sonic Adventure 2. And that turned out to be 100% true, so now it makes total sense that Sonic CD is serving as a major inspiration for the fourth film, with some elements also possibly pulled from Sonic Heroes and other time travel-focused games. And speaking of time, we can't ignore one of the most important characters tied to that theme, Silver. In the games, he is a psychic-powered hedgehog from a distant future who can manipulate objects with his mind and travel through time. If the filmmakers really are going all in on time-hopping and alternate timelines, then bringing Silver into the story feels like a natural next step. That said, it's possible that he won't be introduced right away. He might show up only at the end of Sonic 4, setting the stage for a much larger role in Sonic 5. If that's the direction they're going, then the next movie could take the saga into a completely new territory. For now, it's all speculation. But knowing how this franchise builds up its future, that kind of twist reveal would fit perfectly. Amy is shaping up to have a major role in Sonic 4, and from everything we've seen so far, it looks like she won't just be another supporting character. Originally introduced as Sonic's love-struck admirer, Amy is now being positioned as a full-fledged lead, possibly even the leader of a resistance movement in a dark, dystopian future. That much is implied by the post-credits scene in Sonic 3, where she shows up not as a damsel in distress, but as a strong, independent figure, seemingly commanding her own squad in the shadows of a crumbling world. With a spotlight this big, Paramount is reportedly looking to cast a big-name actress to voice Amy, similar to how they brought in Keanu Reeves to voice Shadow in the third movie. Director Jeff Fowler has confirmed in interviews that the studio is currently exploring several A-list options for the role, and the final decision will likely depend on the tone they want for Amy's character. Will she lean into the comedic and romantic side that longtime fans know, or will she be reimagined as a fierce, battle-hardened hero fighting to save the timeline? Either way, it's clear Amy is going to be a central piece of the story going forward. Will Sonic accidentally find himself thrown into dark future ruled by Emperor Eggman, or will an army from that future, likely commanded by Neo Metal Sonic, break into the present timeline? That mystery is at the heart of the time travel narrative that Sonic 4 seems to be building toward. Speaking of Metal Sonics, it's clear that their creation and deployment are entirely under the control of the Emperor, whoever he turns out to be. Whether it's the true Eggman or Neo Metal Sonic pulling the strings, he's the one deciding which timelines to invade, what artifacts to retrieve, and which characters pose the biggest threat. There's likely something in Sonic's current timeline, maybe a power source, a relic, or even a person that the villain desperately needs, and that's what kicks off this new conflict. Right now, the answers to those questions are being kept tightly under wraps. We'll probably start getting hints once the first teaser or trailer drops, but until then, all we have are theories and a lot of very promising pieces coming together. One thing's for sure, Sonic 4 isn't just another sequel, it's shaping up to be a major turning point in the franchise. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding Sonic 4 is whether or not Shadow will return, and so far that question is still very much up in the air. Right now there's a ton of buzz going around that Paramount is developing either a full-on Shadow the Hedgehog spin-off movie or a limited series for Paramount Plus. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but let's be real, this franchise isn't letting go of Shadow anytime soon. That much was crystal clear in the Sonic 3 post-credits scene, which showed us plain and simple, Shadow is alive, he's still in the game, and Keanu Reeves will continue to voice him. And if someone like Keanu is locked in for the role, that tells you everything you need to know about how seriously Paramount is taking this character. Shadow isn't just another side character, he's one of the most iconic figures in the entire Sonic universe. He's got a huge fan base, a rich and emotionally heavy backstory, and his very own solo video game, which dove deep into his origin and motivations in ways the mainline games never really had the space to explore. To put it simply, Shadow's backstory is complicated. He's not just an edgy anti-hero, he's a scientific experiment, a weapon, a symbol of loss and tragedy, a soul searching for purpose. You can't fully unpack that kind of complexity in 10 minutes of team-up scenes or one-liners during an action sequence. That's why a standalone project, or whether it's a film or a series, almost feels like the only right move. Personally, I think Paramount should drop a Shadow solo project before Sonic 4. That way, when he does return to the main storyline, he can come back as a fully fleshed out character with real depth, clear goals, and a defined sense of who he is. And if you're a longtime Sonic fan, you already know Shadow operates on an entirely different level. His stories are darker, his world more intense, and the tone around him leans towards something you'd expect from a cyberpunk thriller or even a sci-fi horror game like Dead Space. But again, nothing is official yet. No Shadow the Hedgehog movie or series has been announced, and even his involvement in Sonic 4 hasn't been confirmed. Right now, it's all speculation. But if these rumors turn out to be true, we might be looking at a massive expansion of the Sonic cinematic universe. And honestly, Shadow might just be the key to taking it to that next, more mature and dramatic tier. For now, though, all we can do is wait and keep our ears open for that inevitable announcement. As you can see, Jeff Fowler and the rest of the creative team still have a treasure trove of unused characters, storylines, and wild concepts just waiting to be unleashed in future movies. If Sonic 4 even comes close to matching the box office success of the third film, a fifth entry is almost guaranteed, and if that one takes off, then a sixth film isn't just possible, it's basically inevitable. There's just way too much untapped potential in the Sonic universe. All things considered, Sonic 4 is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated films on the horizon. But make no mistake, it's not going to have an easy path to domination. 2027 is absolutely packed. That's the year Marvel is set to drop its next Avengers movie. Beyond the Spider-Verse is finally supposed to hit theaters. Godzilla x Kong 3 is on the calendar, and those are just the confirmed titles. Basically, 2027 is looking like a cinematic battleground, an all-out war of box office titans. That means Sonic 4 will need to hit hard. It'll have to connect with audiences, deliver on the hype, and earn every bit of its spotlight. But if the success of the first three films tells us anything, it's that this franchise has the momentum, the fan base, and the creative juice to go the distance. The Sonic saga isn't slowing down, it's just hitting top speed.